Welcome back. You're watching Signature Morning on Signature Television. So we're joined by Dorothy Njemanze. She's a Nollywood actress and a humanitarian worker. Thank you so much, Dorothy, for your time, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning to you. Today we're talking equality versus equity. We're talking about the male and the female. For you as a Nollywood actress, do you really think that there's a measure of equality between a man and a woman?
Absolutely. Men and women are human beings. And when you focus on men or women, I'm very aware there are people that are intersex who have features of, prominent features of both genders. And so if you're focusing only on, male and female, then I think it's a flawed. It's flawed. It excludes some other groups of people who were born in ways that they never begged to be born. So the baseline is that everybody is human, and because everybody is human, everybody should have their human rights fully protected at all points in time. It should never be contested that people's human rights are, you know, are protected and are enforced and are respected. All those kind of things. So
Right.
first of all, everybody is human, and so on grounds of that, there is equality that exists between everybody. On grounds
But I
of
mean, there
that,
are
and
laws. We understand that Nigeria doesn't really support some of the things that you have mentioned. But of course, I understand your
no,
point
I
of view.
said incest. Now let me clarify. I don't know if you've seen people who were born with 5 fingers, and if you people who were born with, 6 toes, 6 fingers, and all those kind of. So how can a law criminalize somebody simply because the person has prominent features of multiple genders?
Okay. Uh,
Physically, the person may be presenting a particular way, but if you test the person's blood, the person is genetically a different thing. So a law cannot criminalize you for having 6 fingers or 6 toes, or having prominent features of two genders. That's the truth, and that's it. I mentioned intersex specific to that. So you see, so what happens to people like that? You see, masculine, physically, masculine, some women that look more masculine than others, some people who look more feminine than others. A lot of women who have PCOS medical condition, fall with spectrum as well. It's until medical investigations reveal that the male hormones in your body are superseding, overpowering the female hormones, then they start taking hormonal medication to function as females. So these are biological things that are happening naturally in people's bodies. Criminalize it, and then again comes the conversations between equity and equity. First things first is that everybody is human, and the basic human rights should be guaranteed. Then beyond the basic human rights that are guaranteed, there's the issues of equity. So what does everybody need to be able to access the said human rights, whether it is rights to housing or freedom of expression or whatever it is? Should a more a female that doesn't look so feminine. So there was this thing in the line of work that I do in the defense space. I'd met somebody who had said, "Oh, that their mother had warned them, told them that females that have breast are wicked women, because what do they intend to use to breastfeed?" Now, this is just a biological feature of a human being. So why would you discriminate against the woman simply because of her physical appearance? You understand? Is there any logic that states that women who are more endowed are better capable of raising children than the ones who are less endowed? Who controls those basic things? You understand? As looking at that, for instance, nobody should be treated less or have less opportunities of enjoying what is due them because of something that they lack. Whether it's a person with disability cannot climb stairs and needs a wheelchair, then you need to now consider, okay, this is a thing that is guaranteed for everybody. What systems do we need to put in place to ensure that everybody indeed assesses whatever is put in place for them. That's
that's
equity now kicks in.
Okay, Dorothy, was about to ask you, don't you think it's ostensible that what should be added should be gender equality, owing to the fact, I don't know if you would know or would ask or would answer me, would you compare the strength of a man to that of a woman?
Well, I just gave a typical analysis of how it's not guaranteed how a man particularly is or how a woman is. There's nothing that assures anybody that if put against me in combat, somebody who is male would win me. There's nothing that assures him of that, except for the fact that he hopes that I have been socialized enough to believe that as a female I should be seen and not heard. As a female, I should be scared that I would be overpowered, amongst other things. Ask females who drive the length and breadth of Nigeria what we experience along the road. So many people are always surprised and say, on this road, you are not supposed to see a woman driving. Most times, if you see a woman on this road, she's a passenger. So for you to be a driver on this road, where are you coming from? Law enforcement ask us those questions. Yes. You understand? But everybody learns how to drive. Without learning how to drive, you're not issued any license.
So my question is, shouldn't what should be propagated be gender equity and not equality? Because equality tends women at a disadvantage.
No, it doesn't put men at a disadvantage. First of all, gender equality is basic. I mentioned first that on grounds of the fact that everybody is a human being, gender equality is already a thing that should not be negotiated. But in achieving gender equality, issues about what degree of what people need to enjoy the equality that is guaranteed them now come up, and that is where equity comes to play. So equity should not be sent on break because people insist on gender equality. Gender equality is a given, it's guaranteed. I mean, when the issues of gender equality come up, the basic things that come to play are the fact that everybody says, first of all, I'm human, treat me no less than human. And then when you start by treating me no less than human, then we go into the nitty-gritty. Yes, I'm human, but I'm also a woman that menstruates. And so if you are fixing the disability parking lots, and you should take into cognizance who gets the first slot, who gets the second slot. Is it the pregnant woman? Is it the person that menstruates? Is it the man who uses a wheelchair? So equity comes to play because we recognize that no two people are exactly alike. However, on grounds of the fact that we are all human, equality should not be negotiated. Equality should kick in naturally.
Do you think the society will, as it naturally is, especially in Nigeria, we haven't really taken into cognizance this equality thing? Because even if you look at workplaces, you see certain roles that are basically left for women, some other roles that are
reserved
left for men.
Women.
Yeah, and we also have roles that are at home. You say, well, for the kitchen, these roles are left for men and these other roles are left for women. So you wonder...
And that now makes a lot of men useless.
Some people think that it makes a society a more organized environment than just, saying anything can go. What do you think?
No, it makes people not learn basic life skills. I mean, cooking, for instance, is a basic survival, is a basic life skill, right? Cleanliness is a basic life business. So because you are a male, or your child is male, you don't give them a relationship with cleanliness, but you expect them not to have diseases and die, or you expect them, in the unlikely event that the wife passes on, you expect them to be able to raise the children closely. It's just calls for us to set into motion things to make us rethink a lot of things that we did, because harmful normative practices exist. It's pretty much harmful normative practices, and we need to address them as harmful normative practices, which they are. If
But
we don't fix them,
are even helping matters. I mean, there are some places where, as a woman, you can't own a land. There are some other places
that's why the law courts are there.
And meeting.
Well, that's why the law courts are there. And the first things first is, okay, as a member of society, everybody should have the opportunity to be in the gathering. You can't shave my hair in my absence or plait my hair in my absence. I have to be there for you to plait my hair effectively or determine which style is going to suit me best. You can't just be sketching, or you can't use the hair of a puppy and say, okay, if this sketch I made on this puppy is good, it will fit this woman. It doesn't work that way. So for that reason, access to every important table is important. However, what are the barriers that will inhibit different people from accessing the tables? Is it okay, in a particular environment, not much has been done in investing in education of a particular gender? If that is the situation, how can people who have not gotten the requisite investment in education participate on important tables, in that society, alongside people who have gotten requisite investment in education, or requisite investment in health, or requisite investment in mental health care? And why I say mental health care, so if you're born, and from the moment you're born, because you belong to a particular gender, everything is skewed against you, it will definitely affect mental health in different ways. And
okay, Dorothy,
yeah.
Doris, do you think men and women are unique in their own different ways?
Absolutely. Physically, anatomically, everything. Everybody is unique. However, everybody is human. So the baseline of humanity must never be lost at any point in time, irrespective of how, the package of humanity that you have presented itself to the world. The baseline, the humanity baseline, must never be lost. Must never, 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 ever be lost.
So if you know that,
look, let's say, for instance,
this person can do, this other person
I
can
was
do.
going to give a critical example.
Go ahead.
I was going to give a critical example. Some children are born into this with very serious medical conditions. So should it, because they were born with very serious medical conditions, is that a reason why you would not invest in them to acquire an education, or to participate in society, knowing that, because you don't know when they're going to die, you don't know if they're going to die. The serious conditions have been managed in so many situations until the people become 30 years. So somebody who has become 30 years that you never invested the basics in, that is where equity kicks in. The fact that the person is human.
So I was asking, isn't it equity? Because there are things that a man can do, and for the life of a woman, she can be able to do. And there are things that a woman can do, and a man will never do it.
Like what?
So a woman can be pregnant. A man can never be pregnant. And a man can impregnate a woman. A woman cannot impregnate another woman. So shouldn't what we should be looking at shouldn't it be giving with the example you gave?
So the conversation of equality should not be lost because the need for equity to be considered exists. That's my point. Equality is the line. When you're done with equality, the next stage is equity. Equality and equity go hand in hand. We shouldn't say, okay, we're giving you equity. Otherwise, at that equity conversation, if you lose the conversation of equality, if you lose the relevance of equality, the next thing that is going to be happening is that the person who thinks that they are the one to determine what you need will try to determine what degree of equity you need. So first things first, I'm human. We all need to come to the office every month. but I am prone to having menstrual cramps. You see, my productivity level is higher than yours because you are even though you are a man. But I also have menstrual cramps that make me need at least 3 days off. After which I go back to top-notch performance, which is higher than yours. These are the places where equity comes in.
Okay.
Remember that the man is not as productive as I am, but he has to be in the same workspace as I am. Remember.
Wow.
But so if I'm able to accommodate him, that is equity kicking. When it's time for my menstrual cramps to be considered, there's no reason why my gender should become an each point in time. Because what matters in that space is productivity. And that
All
I
right.
have 3 days that I need, to relax because of my menstrual
Thank
cramps
you
does
so
not
much.
mean that productivity has dropped.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dorothy Njemanze. She's a Nollywood actress and a humanitarian expert. Many thanks for your time on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. We're headed for a short break. When we return, we'll switch gears to speak on some other issues that would interest you. Do stay with us.